Hey guys, welcome back to Nature's Cadence Farm. Today we're going to be working on our ASV PT100, and I've got a water leak, I think on the water pump, or at least a gasket around it or something, but I've got to take a lot of stuff apart just to get to that water pump. So let's go ahead and jump in here, and what we're going to start off with is removing this roll cage first, or the limrisers first, and this part of the cage back here, and that'll give me access to get this hood off, we'll call it, and that way all this stuff won't be in my way while I'm working on everything. So let's jump in here and get started. First thing we're going to start with is taking these two limrisers off. One's on the left side of the vehicle, the other one's on the right side. I'm going to start down here with this this nut right here. There's a carriage bolt that goes into this. This is a 3/4 inch. I'm just using a combination wrench, the box end of a combination wrench, just to pop it loose. Mine weren't too rusty. Yours might be terrible, I don't know, but we'll go ahead and take the nut and washer off of that. Actually, I don't think you actually have to take the nut and washer off. That's right. You just loosen it up, and then it just slides out of it. You can see it there. So what we're going to do next, we're going to go all the way up top here, and there's a carriage bolt that goes through the cab, and we'll get that loosened up. So all the way up at the top here, we've got a carriage bolt that goes through this plate and goes to the other side, and this is a 3/4 inch also. And looks like mine, like yours is probably going to be, is this carriage part is stripped out in this tube. So what I'll have to do is put a wrench back here on the carriage part, or this one happened to be loose already. I guess somebody had already been in here. But I'll see if I can get a pair of pliers on here or something and go ahead and get this loosened up. I was able to get this kind of loose enough to get a 9/16 on that carriage head. Now let's see if we can break this loose. Looks like that's working pretty well. Everything kind of gets a little rusty up here. Maybe I'll do something different with these bolts when I go to put it back together. Maybe use hex heads instead of those carriage bolts, because that's all rounded out now. Alright, next up we're gonna kind of pick up on this and pull this out of the carriage bolt head. You see that it's kind of keyed like that, so that's how that comes apart. I'm just going to do that to the next side and get back with you when we take this part off. Next up, to get this part of the guard off, is to remove, or at least loosen up, these screws, bolts, and they were tight, that go onto this pipe that sticks out of here. And this is a 9/16. And there's two of them on both sides. So here's the cage right here that we were working on up top, loosening up those bolts. And down below here is a 15/16 head bolt that threads into this cage assembly that goes through this plate to mount it to the actual, the frame of the machine here. So what I'm going to do is try to get this bolt off, and I'm sure it's super tight and I don't feel like hurting myself. So I'm just going to double it up with another wrench here and see if we can break that thing loose. And that is still there, tight. Good gravy. Yeah, we're gonna have to do something different with that. Alright, I finally got it broken loose. I just ended up putting a 15/16 on a breaker bar here. Just need a little bit more of that good leverage. It's still pretty tight, but I did get it to pop loose. Alright, that's loose enough for me to use a ratchet on. I'm gonna get the other side loosened up and see if we can get this cage off of here. I'm going to try to go ahead and take this off to maybe lower the amount of weight that I have to pick up when I remove this frame from the machine. I have the two bolts down below taken off, and it looks like there's two shocks that give this a little bit of lift, and then there's two bolts, one on this side, one on the other side, opposite of this. And so I'm going to see if I can get these out of here and like I say, get this part off, the hood part, and see if that'll help out a little bit. First off, I'm going to try to pop these little clips off I've got a nice long screwdriver here, and these clips just hold it onto this stud on this side. So usually you can just kind of pull those out, and then the whole thing should come off. There we go, just like that. And this can just set over here for now. That'll be well out of the way. We'll do that to the other side, and then we'll get started on those bolts for the hinge part. Alright, got a 3/4 wrench on the nut on the back side. Got a 3/4 socket here. See if we can get this broke loose. Oh yeah. The nut looks like it's a captive nut, like it has it's kind of like a nylock, but it's not. I think it's all metal. I think they call them captive nuts. Correct me if I'm wrong. Let me know down below. Looks like it's coming out very well. I've got the nut off. Now let's see if we can wiggle and jiggle this bolt out of here. It's not really threaded in there. I'm just using the ratchet to kind of work it loose. There we go. I'm going to leave that most of the way in there and go ahead and get the other side off. Alright, I've got the bolts down here loosened up and the nuts off, ready to come out. The last thing we need to do before we try to remove this is remove one of these bumpers, these stop bumpers that are bolted to here. And it's a carriage bolt on the back side, so it has that head that stays in there. And I've got a 1/2 inch socket here on a little 3-inch extension. That seems to work perfect for where I need to be here. So these are nylocks, so they're going to feel tight all the way out to the end. But once they get off the nylon, it shouldn't be any issue getting them off. Like that one right there, you can kind of feel once it loosens up. So let's back these off all the way. Now if you have 2 people, you might not need to take all this stuff off, but I'm by myself out here, so I'm gonna just do this so it's a little bit easier on me. 2 people might be able to handle one side and the other without removing this extra weight, but I think it'll be worth it. Alright, so now that I've got the bumper removed, I'm going to go ahead and remove these bolts here. One on the other side. And this side should come on out like that. Alright, now that we have the hood part out of the way, let's see if we can get this slid backwards and off of those posts at the top. There it goes, just like that. Alright, now that that's out of the way, we can go ahead and work on getting this hood, the actual hood, removed. Alright, got 2 shocks, one on the right, one on the left of the vehicle. And they're right here. We need to pop these out before we get those pins loose. So we're going to do the same thing we did on the other. Just run a screwdriver behind there and pop it off. And then that can stay attached. That's no problem right there. Go get the other side, and then we'll get these pins out from underneath the here so we can remove this hood. Alright, I've got the shocks, the lift struts removed for the hood here. I've got one pin out already. I'm going to try to get this other pin out. I already got it started here, just driving it out with a punch, and then what I did on the other one was I just used this wrench like this, and then just drove it out like that. Alright, we have one final bolt to remove, and that's this little support arm that keeps the hood from opening too far. This is a 3/16 Allen wrench. You don't have to use one on a ratchet. This is just what I had sitting around. So, just going to back that out. This looks like a pressed in nut and a washer there. This is a little shoulder bolt that allows the arm to slide up and down on it. So, get that out of the way. We'll go ahead and thread this back in here so it'll be ready for reassembly, so I don't lose it. Alright, so now the hood is completely removed. We can go ahead and set this to the side.